If I'm reading the job post and it's telling me I need 2 years of customer service experience, I need to look on my resume and make sure 2 years of customer service experience. If it says that I need knowledge of the ATS system, I'm gonna make sure on my resume somewhere fluently I put that I have used the ATS system. And before that interview, I will go and research what the ATS system is or what it's used for and what it does. So when I'm in my interview, I know how to talk their language. Um, so when you find a job posting that pretty much interests you, as you apply to different jobs, you should study each job description for keywords that show what the employer is looking for in an ideal candidate. Include those keywords on your resume where it's relevant. So that's where I say like if it's fluent, it has to be fluent. Like you just don't want to throw their job description on your resume. That's something that they'll notice. So it has to definitely has to be fluently. I wouldn't even bunch it up all together. Like if you have 4 jobs on your resume, I will break their job description down, but within those 4 jobs. Um, so if you're applying for like a medical billing coder, the employer might list such like you need coding, claim submissions, compliance, and the AR management. See, AR management, 9 times out of 10, if you've never worked in medical billing, I've never worked in medical billing. I don't know where AR management is. I would just go and research that before my interview if I'm offered the interview. Um, and then you will pay particular attention to anything listed in a section labeled as requirements or qualification. Requirements and qualification is exactly what your resume should reflect always. So if let me go ahead 1 second, let me pull up a job really quick. Okay, so I'm looking at a product safety quality assurance engineer. Don't know. But for Target. So what they're stating is about you, you need to have a bachelor's degree in engineering. So off top, I need to make sure in my education it states that I have a bachelor's degree. Also about you, it says 0 to 5 years of experience working in quality or other engineering fields or equivalent experience. So I will make sure I have and probably about at least 3 to 5 years because it says 0 to 5. So you don't have to have any experience for real, but they will prefer you to have experience, of course. So I would probably say about 3 to 5 years of experience in this field, making sure that it's working in quality. So it doesn't matter what quality. It could be quality assurance, you making sure the phone calls are good, or it could be actually in the engineering field or equivalent experience. Ability to read, interpret, and implement industry standards, UL standards. So the fact that they have an example UL standards, I will make sure UL standards was somewhere on my resume fluently. Um, Maybe my previous employer used the UL standards, whatever that is. And then also it states knowledge of quality control and assurance processes, making sure that you have QA experience on your resume. That's all they're saying. Making sure you have quality assurance experience on your resume. Excellent communication skills and strong interpersonal skills. So um in your skills section, you would that make sure that it states that you're excellent verbal and written communication skills and also strong interpersonal skills. You want to make sure that that's listed. It says excellent project management skills. On your skill set, it should say project management. Collaborative focus and ability to work successfully across functional areas. So make sure that you have something on your resume that states that you're like a team player and that you've been successful in whatever area that may be. Um, and then it says respect, appreciate, and value diverse voices and approaches. That's just something that's personality trait. Not really needs to be listed on your resume. Um, and then commended to creating equitable experience and fostering a inclusive team. So also there's that team player too. And then so that's their about you section, but they also have desired requirements. So not necessarily like it's a requirement. Every single person that applies for this role has to have this. But if you only have ever worked like two jobs, but you stay with them 3 years, learned everything about the position. So so it just depends on what the position is. So give me two job examples. So say that you worked at Walmart and then you went over as a customer service or a cashier or whatever, and then you went over to be a Walmart teams lead after that. Um, um, well, no, let's just stick regular. Let's just stick regular. Okay, so let's just say you had a customer service position, Walmart cashier register, and then you went on to Discover and you did you worked there as a customer service representative. That's two jobs. Both of them are customer service based. So what you would do from there is depending on what the job description is. So let's just say for this engineering position, let's just say like it was let's just act like it's a regular position that don't need a degree. So in this engineering position, um, if I only had those two jobs and they're both customer service related, but this is an engineering position, so it's kind of different. For the quality assurance, I would just state for Discover or Capital One, whatever the second job is, I would just put that I was a quality assurance agent for new representatives, for beginning representatives or representatives fresh out of training. I was the representative that listened to their calls and provided them feedback, helping the coaches. I would just throw that in there somewhere within the two jobs. Does that make sense? And then like keywords, you definitely want to make sure like keep like if they particularly say ability to read, interpret, and implement industry standards, and then they say i.e. UL standards. I want to make sure UL standards is on my resumes. Okay, good. I want to make sure UL standards is on my resume somewhere, but flowing fluently. Um, And then so 9 times out of 10, when you're looking to apply for a job, you already have a resume created. So once you have already reviewed the job description, make sure you know everything about the job description to see how you need to reflect it on your resume. You'll review your resume to make sure like everything that is on your resume relates to this job. They don't just recruiters don't just want to look at resumes that one job relates to the job, but the other three have nothing to do with the job, what you'll be doing there. A few things when crafting your resume, you might study examples from resumes from other industries. So like when I first started applying for jobs, I used to Google like customer service representative resume example, and I'll get my template or whatever I have created, and I'll see, okay, I need to make sure it says X, Y, and Z. Okay, make sure that's on my resume too. Um, and also you can also there are many ways that you can use resume samples. It's so many different ways to use resume. I didn't until I started doing this for real, I did not know it was so many ways to create a resume. But the bottom line is recruiters are using systems, ATS systems, to pull resumes to make sure particular words are on your resume. So if you don't have those keywords that they search up, once they search that word up and you don't have that keyword on there, your resume won't even pop up for them to pull it because it don't have certain requirements on it. So a few things that I would definitely make sure of off top. I would definitely make my resume plain and simple, easy to read, short, simple, straight to the point. Um, Resume samples are simply straightforward. Employers have a minimal amount of time to review resumes. That's the exact prime example why they are now pulling resumes using the ATS system, searching for keywords, opposed to sitting there having to go through 50 resumes when only two match the job description that was posted. Um, so definitely make sure that you have a clean format. It's very professional. Definitely eye catching. I do have some templates that sent over the customer support template that I sent over. That's really, really eye catching. It's light, it's not too bright. Um, but it's like you can see it and it's pretty, like it's something that you could look at for a little while. You want to make it brief. You'll notice that each section of the resume sample is short and to the point. So even if you have like Microsoft Word and you pull up a resume template, those resume templates are short. They short, and if you like type too long, it'll change the format up. So you want to make sure that you keep your resume short, simple, straight to the point. It should not be like you do not need 10 years of experience on your resume. I literally say depending on how long you've been at your jobs, for one, you should not have jobs where you have been at less than a year. Honestly, if you do, it should only be one, maybe two. Because for one, that extends your resume longer, because now you have to add, if you didn't have gaps in your employment history, you have to add all of these jobs that you've had. And then when you add jobs that you've had less than a year, it just looks to the employer like, okay, so the next best thing smoking, they're gonna be gone. Or they don't have no loyalty to a company, or they won't stay with a company. So make sure that we do have jobs where we've had them for a period of time. I would say on your resume about 7, 8 years of experience, depending on how long you've been on jobs. So if I have three jobs where I've been at for 2 years, 3 years, and two and a half, or whatever the case may be, that would be suffice. That's enough experience for them to say, hey, she's been doing this for this long, or hey, she doesn't have the experience that we need, or they don't have the experience that we need. You also want to make sure that you include numbers, include metrics. So, um, for example, at Progressive, I'll probably put, if it's seasonal, make sure that you imply that it was seasonal. I wouldn't have too many. Like I wouldn't have a resume of seasonal jobs. No. But if you do have a seasonal job, that's why I state one, maybe two, because it is a such thing as seasonal jobs. So some jobs, or temp or contract, or whatever the case may be, those jobs too. So yeah, seasonal, just make sure that it's implied that this was a seasonal position somewhere on your resume. But seasonal, yeah, seasonal is fine. um but as far as the metric goes, like when I with Progressive, I would probably say wrote out a plan that helped our team increase their sales by 50%. Make sure that you have some sort of metric that can be a number that displays a successful factor at your previous employer. Every single position that you list should have a metric. Every single one, all of them should have a metric. Um, just to let them know, hey, I executed X, Y, and Z in this position, and it boosted the sales by this percent, or it helped drop our call wait time by this much, or whatever the case may be. But you definitely want to make sure that you have metrics included in the experience section of your resume samples. Um, and then make sure that you're using like a professional font. So it's a lot of crazy fonts. You want to make sure that it's clear, that you're able to read it, or anyone will be able to read it, not just you. Like sometimes you may be able to read cursive, somebody may not. So just make sure that it's plain English, wrote out, plain and simple, straight to the point. Um, Make sure that you keep the font size between like 10 and 12. I would say 10 and 12, depending on, like, not like the headlines. The headlines, I would say like maybe like 12 to 14, maybe 15. But you don't want it to be too big, too bold to overshadow everything else. Selecting a clear, reasonable font will help make your resume appear more professional. So, make sure that with the fonts that you make sure that it's readable for anyone. Um, any questions up until that point? No. Okay. 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 Just want to make sure. Everything making sense. I want to make sure everything making sense. Or do y'all let me know if y'all want me to go deeper in on a topic or if something not making sense or whatever the case may be. Um, so going back to like the experience that you will include in your on your resume, make sure that it's relevant experience. You may have like extensive work or extensive educational experience and it appears to keep your resume as brief as possible. Make sure, okay, thank you. Um, make sure that everything is brief, straight to the point. Don't make it too wordy. Like I've been getting resumes that are super, super wordy. I don't know if, well, I do know most people are downloading resumes from Indeed. Indeed does nothing but put your words on a piece of paper. Literally. No format, no nothing. They literally take your words and put them on a piece of paper when you are using your Indeed download. So what I would do is even if you have an Indeed resume or a resume that you want to, make better, I would just find myself a template or use one of the templates that I have provided. It doesn't have to be, depending on what area that you're going in, it doesn't have to be super spicy. Um, I don't know if anybody is wanting to go into the corporate world. I do have like a like HR or like real man. I'm not gonna say real management because management is management, but like some of the big company management or HR or whatever the case may be, or you want to be a manager of a department going into a company. I do have a corporate template too, so I'll make sure I send y'all that. I don't think I included that. I don't think I included that. But yeah, make sure that we only including what should be listed. Your resume literally should probably be like I would say like depending on how old you are, how much experience you have. But I would say typically your resume should have about 350 to about 550 words. Now, if you're looking to go into corporate or management or something like that, your resume may be, what I'm saying, a few pages because that's the experience that they be looking for. They be looking for like 10 years of experience in their field alone. So, um make sure that you keep your resume brief, straight to the point. Make sure that you use active language. Like your resume should be written using active language without crazy big words. Don't use power words. Um if your resume seems to be too long and hard to read, you might be considered making sentences shorter and ideas more concise. So when you're looking at a job description, like what I do. So what I do is if I worked at Progressive, I'm trying to put it on my resume. I go to Progressive website and I go to the career website and I go to the position that I held. I look at what their job description is and I turn that into action. Like I've already done that because most job descriptions are this is what you will do. So you have to make sure that you're changing your words like I have our action verb. So I've already done that. During my time at such and such, I ran multiple team-based projects and helped each team member with various tasks associated with the project. That's a short, simple job description. But it could be shortened like led multiple team-based projects and effectively coordinated group tasks. That's short, simple, straight to the point, but it's still saying the same thing that the longer sentence said, that the longer sentence stated. Um, it's just reducing it, right? Active language. So, um, and then make sure that you brag on yourself. Make sure that um it's always an education or achievement section somewhere. Make sure that you brag on yourself. State that you're doing something, maybe for the community. It doesn't even have to be like work related. But it can be like Like you're a amazing human. That's what your resume trying to portray. I'm an amazing human. I go and I volunteer and I help these and I help this and I that's what you want to imply so they can say, hey, on her free time she still likes to help people, but she does work hard. Okay, she does have the experience, she does have the skill set, but on the back end, she still likes to work hard. She did amazing in school, whatever the case may be. I throw a GPA in there in the school and whatever the case may be. Just make sure that you brag on yourself for sure. And then as far as like subheadings and sections, make sure that we're only including the sections that we need. So some templates may have sections that doesn't pertain to you. That's just a template that you cannot use unless you know how to alter templates. Because that section, even if you delete the words, that section will still be there. So and with that section still being there, it just leaves like a blank gap. It just leaves like a gap on the resume. So if the template that you find does not work for you, just find another one. Like it's a million templates out there. You can use Google to find templates. You can use Microsoft Word to find templates. Google has templates that you can download. Microsoft Office or Word just has like certain templates that they have on there. But Google does have a lot of templates that you can download, and you can download it as far as you can Google it as far as what career path you're looking to go down. So you may be looking to go and do customer service where someone else may be wanting to do administrative assistant. So y'all gonna have two different, achievements or two different headlines and sections. And then make sure that you choose the appropriate margin. Make it plain and simple. If I don't know how school was or is for everybody in different states, but for us, we could only use 1 to 1.15 margin on any paper. That's what they taught me in high school. That's what they taught me in college. I've never been able to use a big one. I've never even wanted to use a big one because I didn't even know they could go bigger. Because that's all we could use. So make sure that your margins, your fonts, your um um everything is very professional, neat, tidy. Make sure it's something that you will want to look at for a long time. If it's something that bores you, it's going to bore the recruiter. You have to make it seem fun in their eyes. So if they're hiring for a customer service representative position, you want to make your resume seem like a reflection of their best customer service representative that they have on their floor right now. Was somebody saying something? Um, and then make sure that we're proofreading. A lot of people, like, even when people come to me for my resume assistance, even the templates that you have, make sure that you proofread. I always send people that gets my resume assistance, I always send them their resume. I've had a few people come back and say, hey, can you capitalize this, because I missed it. I'm human, I'm not perfect. I just know how to do resumes, but I'm not perfect, and I'm not an English teacher either. So um that's why I make sure, like, hey, two sets of eyes are better than one. When I send your resume, I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that it don't need no changes. I'm not saying that nothing. I'm just, hey, send it. Advise me if you're needing any changes. Boom, because I feel like I've proofread it. But it's your resume, so you may pay attention to detail a little bit more than me. Not saying that I don't pay attention, but you may pay attention to detail a little bit more than me. Um, and then as you're gonna apply for so many jobs before you get the job of your dreams. um you have to make sure every single time you are applying for jobs that your resume is unique for the job that you're applying for. Make it tailored to the position that you are applying for. You may have to Okay, and that's something that we can do too. We can go over assessments. Not everybody has the same assessments. A lot of assessments are different. A lot of assessments are different. Some assessments are way longer than others. Um, but as far as like what do you feel like you have problems with when y'all get to the assessments? What are the Are you like, I don't know what this question means? Are you like what's your thought process? Why is it so hard? Mainly the questions, like the understanding the questions, because I do know like some of the questions be like, are you most this or most that? Sometimes it's confusing. Yeah. Um, I think we kind of overthink it. What I do with assessments, as far as the questions where it's like, hey, um, what's the question that they be asking? My attitude isn't bad, but um sometimes it can get bad. That's a negative, not me. And I'm recording. That's a negative, not me, because sometimes my attitude, if any part of the when it comes to those this or that questions, if any part of the question seems like a bad employee, that's not you. Any part. So even if it says I have a good attitude, but sometimes okay, but sometimes I have a good attitude, but sometimes my attitude can get bad. Mm-mm. But sometimes my attitude can get bad. Decline. That's not me. That's not me. Um. So, as far as your resume though, your resume is your first impression. Your resume is they don't know you from a can of paint. They don't know what you look like. Um, they know your race because of the application, but they don't know who you are, what type of person you are, nothing. So, your resume is your first focus, your first impression, your first focus, your first impression. So you want to make sure that it represents you well. You want to make sure that it looks professional as possible. um every single job, like I was stating, every single job is different. Every job description is going to be different. The hiring process is going to be different. So make sure we are doing our research on the job. Make sure that we are reading the job description. Even after reading the job description, go back and put your resume next to the job description and see, okay, I got this right here. Okay, I got this right here. Make sure everything that's in that job description pretty much flows fluently on your resume. Um, does all of that make sense? Do y'all have any questions? Y'all want me to go in on something? I thought we would take the whole hour.